Greetings everybody, Rob here from Sage Tower Games, and I'm bringing you guys another Marvel Champions video, this time talking about the latest character added to our game, the one, the only, Scarlet Witch. Now, normally you can see my content is online, it's through a tabletop simulator, and the like. I want to show you guys that I do have all the cards, you can see them behind me over there. And we're gonna have the new pack. I just got Scarlet Witch. I did take a little peek, so let's go through these cards together. As I'm going through the cards, I'll post them up on the screen for you guys to kind of take a look at them and see them as I talk about them. So I'm gonna open these cards up, pop them out of the bag, or pack, if you will, and let's start. So the first card that we're gonna look at is the Scarlet Witch herself, Wanda Maximoff. So, 3 recovery, 10 hit points. She has the same ability as Quicksilver on her alter ego form, discard 2, draw 2, or draw 3 if Pietro is in play. So, pretty standard cycling ability. In her hero form, she's got 2 thwart, 1 attack, and 2 defense. And she's an Avenger and a Mystic, so she's the second Mystic we have in the game, the first one being Doctor Strange. This comes into play because Sorcerer Supreme is a card that at the moment only Strange could use, but now technically Scarlet Witch can use the Sorcerer Supreme card to increase her hand size. Her ability reads Chaos Control. Interrupt. When boost icons and an encounter card would be counted, discard the top card of the encounter deck and count the number of boost icons on that card instead. Limit once per phase. So, obviously for those of you that want Wandavision or know about the Scarlet Witch, her big deal is chaos magic. She's really big into that kind of chaotic, unpredictable magic. And the way that it is shown in the card game is through the fact that all her abilities involve discarding cards from the encounter deck and looking at the boost icons on them. So, her ability allows her to essentially, if you don't like the card that got drawn, pick a new one. So, right off the bat, we have Quicksilver. So, there's our ally, Pietro. 4 cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, 4 health, action, ready, Quicksilver, limit once per phase. So, I mean, at this point, he's gonna be, so you play him, he can attack for 4 on 1 turn, maybe attack another time, or block a minion, attack another time. I don't think he's as fancy as the Quicksilver Scarlet Witch ally is, but it's okay for what it is. Now this is the card that really shines, or one of the cards that shines, Chaos Magic. It's a 0 cost card, and it's a hero action. Play a card from your hand, ignoring its resource cost. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to that card's printed resource cost. Now, the reason why this card is kind of a big deal is because it lets you play those 4 cost cards, 5 cost cards. Yeah, you do blow through 4 or 5 encounter cards, but you could get a Heimdall out, you could get a free Avengers Mansion out, a free Nick Fury out with 1 card. Yeah, it costs you a lot of encounter cards, but that's a lot of resources that you can essentially gain from this 1 card. The bread and butter of her deck is the Hex Bolt, and you can tell that probably as well because we have 4 copies of Hex Bolt. Now Hex Bolt is a 2 resource event. Discard the top 3 cards of the deck, of the encounter deck. For each card discarded this way, it has a boost icon equal to the following. If it's 0, 2 damage to an enemy. 1, remove 2 threat from a scheme. 2, draw 1 card. Or 3 plus, place a status card on a character. Now, this can do a lot. 2 for 6 damage, 2 for 6 thought, 2 for 3 cards, 2 for a stunned, confused, and a tough, whatever you want. It can do it a lot. And it's gonna definitely probably be your main thing you're gonna be popping out. You can do tons of damage. You don't have to pick who you do it to every time. So the unpredictability of the chaos magic is kind of the issue here, but all the choices are really good. There's no bad choice, really. And if that wasn't enough damage for you, we follow it up with Molecular Decay, and we have 3 copies of Molecular Decay. This is a 3-cost event. It's an attack. Deal 5 damage to an enemy and discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. For each boost icon discarded this way, deal 1 additional damage. So you could do up to 6 extra damage. So 3 for 11, that's pretty big. As you see, if you've seen some of my videos, like the 3 for 8 is kind of standard. So 3 for 11 possibly. Let's say you get maybe 3 or 4. So then you have 3 for 8, 3 for 9. That's a lot. So between these and the hex bolts, she can pump out some damage. She's got 1 copy of Warp Reality, which is when an encounter card is revealed from the encounter deck, cancel all of its effects and discard it. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to the number of boost icons on that card. So Advance, I think, has no boost icons on it, so you can cancel an Advance if you want. You can cancel Shadows of the Past, that's 2 boost icons. I think Exhaustion and might be 3. Those ones might be 3, but it's still pretty good. Always good to have one of those cancel type of cards in your deck. Agatha Harkness, Miss Agatha all along, is a persona support. She's an alter ego action. Exhaust Agatha, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 to your hand, and place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So she lets you get a card into your hand and lets you build in for the future, so you can kind of build that bottom of your deck to be kind of what you want it to be. Pretty good. It's always good to see more persona supports. And then we have 3 magic shields. So magic shields are when a friendly character will take any amount of damage, discard magic shield, prevent 3 of that damage. So it's just a prevent 3 damage you can. She has 10 health. She's a little bit squishy. Pietro is also a little bit squishy. I mean, unless you play him in protection, he can still take some damage. So this kind of helps you absorb damage. And then of course we have Scarlet Witch's main, in my opinion, her main card is the crest, the helmet. Now this is an item, 2-cost item, interrupt. When boost icons on an encounter card are counted, exhaust Scarlet Witch's crest. Increase or decrease the number of boost icons on that card by 1 for this count. So as you saw as we went through most of her cards, that's the last signature card of hers, that most of her cards involve counting boost icons. The crest, from one use, when you exhaust it, allows you to add a +1 or take a -1 to fine tune it to what you exactly want it to be. And if that doesn't help, you always have Scarlet Witch's ability that allows you to just completely change it. Get a whole new card. So she has a lot of cards. I have to really test her out a bit in actual play. The main thing is she's one of those unpredictable characters. She can either knock everything out of the park, or she could just draw really bad cards. We don't know. So I'm gonna go through some of the rest of the cards that came in her deck. She did come with Justice, so we got a few more Justice cards, and I'm just gonna bow through these quite quickly. Obviously, they're not really Scarlet Witch per se cards, but they're just new cards that we got added into the game. So we got Speed, which is Thomas Shepard, one of her kids. He's a 4-cost ally, 2 thwart, 1 speed. After speed thwarts, ready him. So he's pretty much the same thing like Quicksilver ally, except he's a 2-1 as opposed to a 1-2. Wiccan, the other brother, is William Kaplan, 2-cost ally, 1 thwart, 1 attack, 3 health. After he thwarts, discard the top card of the encounter deck. For each boost icon discarded this way, deal 1 damage to an enemy. So he thwarts from 1 and can then do some extra damage to an enemy. Alright, I mean, they're both okay allies. We got Crisis Averted, 3-cost event. Remove 6 threat from the main scheme. If you pay for this card using a mental resource, this thwart ignores the crisis icon. That's interesting in case you run into a crisis situation where you have to deal with some of these crisis schemes, but the main scheme's getting a bit out of control. This lets you kind of get around that. Got Multitasking. Remove 2 threat from a scheme. If you pay for this using a mental resource, remove 2 threat from a different scheme. Now, it's a 1-cost card, so you could technically, if you pay for it with a mental, go 1 for 4. That's pretty good, to be honest. Swift Retribution, another 1-cost event. The villain schemes, deal 4 damage to the villain. It's a way for Justice to get some more damage cards that don't cost too much or too ridiculous. Not bad. Could be a good first turn card. Sometimes you have so many cards that you can't, like, you don't have anything to thwart off. So this gives you some thwart to actually have to deal with, and you get some damage out of it. Turn the Tide. After the hero thwarts and removes all threat from a scheme, deal 3 damage to an enemy, and it's a 0-cost card. So again, it's another one of those cards, kind of like Followed, kind of like one of these cards that essentially help you clear out the scheme, and you get some extra damage. It's giving Justice more damage options, besides almost kind of more relying on the actual hero playing it. The rest of the cards are the same. We have another Order and Chaos. It's the same as that card from Quicksilver. That is the Teamwork card. So I'm not going to cover that card. We do have a new neutral card. It's the Spiritual Meditation card. Play only if your identity has the Mystic trait, which means Doctor Strange or Scarlet Witch. Action, draw 2 cards. Choose and discard 1 card from your hand. So to draw 2, discard 1 for 0. It's okay. I mean, it gives Scarlet Witch some leeway, but I don't think once you get Strange going and he gets like Winds of Watum going, I don't think he really needs to draw that many cards. So I mean, it's an okay card. Nothing blows me away. This is what I want to talk to you guys about. So she has an obligation called Slipping Sanity. She actually has, and this is the first time we've seen this ever in Marvel Champions, 2 obligations. She got 2 copies of the obligation card. Same thing, you may flip to Alter Ego. The first option is to exhaust Wanda. The second option is to discard the top 5 cards of the encounter deck. For each star icon, place 1 threat on the main scheme. Discard this obligation. And to note, both obligations have 3 boost icons on them as well. So to kind of represent the chaotic nature of Scarlet Witch, they gave her 2 obligations. Now we go into her Nemesis cards. So we have the main scheme, the next evolution. Increase the number of boost icons on each encounter card by 1 for 2 threat per player. So essentially it makes the boost icons more, so you can never get a 0 boost icon card, and just kind of, it might throw off your numbers a bit. Her Nemesis is Luminous. She's an elite minion. 2 scheme, 2 attack, 5 health. After Luminous attacks you, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If 2 or more boost icons were discarded this way, deal yourself 1 encounter card. So if you combine that with next evolution, you have a chance to get an extra counter card every turn. And then she has Magical Suspension. It's an attachment that attaches to your hero. Each card you play costs 1 additional resource, and you just have to exhaust your hero once to discard the card. Not terrible. And then Chaos Manipulation is a treachery card. Search the encounter deck and discard pile for Luminous and put her into play engage with you. Discard the top card of the encounter deck. If 2 or more boost icons were discarded this way, Luminous activates against you. So that's nasty. Because you play this, she comes into play, you discard a card. If it hits this goal, it activates Luminous, and then Luminous activates, so she discards an encounter card, which could potentially give you an encounter card. So you kind of see the chain, how that works pretty quickly. So those are the cards that come in her standard deck. There's obviously, as you guys know, they always include 1 card from all the other stats just to kind of fluff that out a little bit more. So the aggression card is Browbeat. 2 cost event. Play only if your identity has the Avenger trait. Deal 2 damage to the villain. Deal X additional damage to the villain, where X is equal to the villain's stage number. So if you're playing Expert, it's 2 for 4 or 2 for 5. I mean, aggression doesn't need help with damage. I don't really see that being played. Last Stand is a leadership card. A 0 cost card. When an ally you control attacks, it gets +3 attack for that attack. After that attack resolves, discard that ally. So 1 quick blast boost, 3 points of damage. I mean, that's a good card. This gives you more damage out of your weaker minions, especially if you're playing that like 1 and done type of ally. That one could see some use. Bait and Switch is a protection card. The villain attacks you, remove 4 threat from the main scheme. This could be good for like Hulk protection. I mean, even Quicksilver protection, I guess. Or even She-Hulk protection. Just kind of like soaking up some damage and removing threat. Definitely good for Hulk, who might struggle with removing threat. And the neutral card is 2 cost event, card of recuperation. Heal damage from your alter ego equal to your recovery. So for 2 costs, you don't have to recover. But it does say alter ego, so you have to be an alter ego anyway. So why wouldn't you just recover? I guess if you have a dead hand, it's something, but probably won't see as much play. So with that, those are all the new cards in the Scarlet Witch pack. What are my thoughts on the pack? I think she can be good. I have to play test her a bit just to kind of, not play test, but test her out a bit to kind of see how she actually plays and how I think she might actually run. My initial guess would be, if you want to compare to my tier listing video, which I'll post a link in on YouTube for you guys to look at, is initially, without even playing her, I would say A or B. And the reason for this is the unpredictable nature of her abilities, I think, keeps her out of an S spot potentially. Again, I have to play her. But the fact that you can't control what you pump out. I think if you have enough resource cards, like a Quinn Carrier or Helicarrier or something like that, where you can pump out a few Hex Bolts a turn, like a Hex Bolt and a Molecular Decay, and then you have cards like the Crest out to kind of help boost icons. I think she can pump out some real damage. Overall, I don't think she'll break the S rank, but again, we'll see. She just came out, so we'll have to test her out. Well, what do you guys think about her? Do you guys think she's good? Do you guys think she competes with some of the big, like, heavy hitters in Marvel Champions, or does she kind of fall a bit flat? So let me know that in the comments, and stay tuned for some more Marvel Champions videos, and I'll be curious to see what else comes down the Marvel Champions docket. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see everybody next time.